Joining us, and this is OK Afternoon Conversation here. This is the place that you get the best for less, and we try to bring you the actors so that you form a part of the conversation and have your say in fight in finding the solution to some of the many problems in Liberia as a country. And like I said, we have none as our guest, Mr. Lawrence Yelu. He is from Accountability Lab, and as a matter of fact, we will be talking about the 2017 Integrity Ado. And so he's right here this pleasant afternoon. Let's join him. Good afternoon, Mr. Yelu. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to our many viewers out there.
Okay, and so we are also going live now on our OTFN page on Facebook. So those of you who are probably following the, or in fact viewing the presentation this afternoon, you can leave your comments, and so we kind of bring the comments up from the Facebook page. But as a matter of fact, we've been the public have been hearing about the Accountability Lab. In fact, Accountability Lab. You care to tell the public what is Accountability Lab?
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure when we have time to interact with the public and also tell them exactly what we do at the Accountability Lab. We've been in the country for almost 5 years. We'll be 5 in November, 5th November to be precise. But what beats our hearts the most is how do we create active citizens that focuses more on responsibilities. You know, in our country, whenever you talk about rights, even the little child, right? And the child will tell you, oh, it's my right to do this, my right to do this. And you leave that, you come in a public space, everybody knows their right. But the truth is, what are the corresponding responsibilities? And those corresponding responsibilities makes the very best, the corresponding responsibilities make the very best citizens that we have. And the maturity of those citizens and their contribution are based on your responsibilities, knowing your rights and the corresponding responsibilities. So, for example, when we work on 3 basic front lines. One is we work in something called an incubator. So we try to get good ideas from social entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs and accountability oriented projects. And then those we call accountapreneurs. So we form our own words and call them accountapreneurs. So we love to use very simple but engaging tools to engage the public. One, we use film for social change. So we do short documentaries on what is most important for citizens, and then we try to showcase that. And the good thing about that is that the citizens are telling their story. And once they say their story, they're saying it from the angle they understand it. Then the next thing we try to do is to work with music. So we do hip-co. So we have people called hip-co accountability ambassadors. So you have the Amaze, and you know songs like Know Who to Vote For, integrity, corruption, and we can talk about the likes. In that pool, we have Nassiman, we have So Fresh and other guys. But more to that is how we work with other young artists that are coming up. So we have another program that is called Rap to be Repped. So Rap to be Repped is basically how can we bridge that gap between already made artists and young artists, and how can they get into that space? So that's one thing we do with music. We use that for social campaign as well. So we do a program called Integrity Idol. So if you look at pop idols like American Idol, like The Voice, so those kind of programs celebrate people with artistical talent, musical talents, and their voice, and America Got Talent. So we said, okay, why don't we do something for people in the public spaces? So we started doing this thing called this very beautiful program. So we say, okay, we will celebrate honest civil servants in a space where everybody think that everybody is corrupt, in a space where people think that Liberia, if you look at the corruption perception index from Transparency International, Liberia is very, very low. So we also believe that there are more good people in this country than bad people. But the only thing that happens is that the bad people, we tend to talk about them almost every time. So we think the good people are not there. Our government doesn't crumble, not because of the bad people, because the good people are there and they are holding it up. And most of them do that in secret. So we say, why don't we do this to sing them and celebrate them so our young kids can have people that they can ascribe to call role models. Because when I was a kid, I was in school and when they said who wants to be a military man, you see hands going up. But now, if you went to school and then when they say police, your hands goes up. But now if they say who wants to be a police in schools, you see kids. Nobody wants to be a police. Why? Because there's a perception. There's a new dynamics around it. So what we do is integrity art is just one of them. So we work citizen journalism. We're doing podcasts. We're building the new media practitioners. Work with kids in high schools and try to bring them up. So accountability lab, basically we engage in promoting active citizens. And the next thing we do is to create this ecosystem. So we have a campus that we call the I campus, Innovation Campus. And what we do on that campus is to allow young people and government and civil society to have a space where they can meet and they don't see themselves as people that are having rivalry over things, but we all are serving the same people. So government and civil society, we are serving the citizens. So what we need to do basically is how do we take this conversation from a rival angle to a conversation of partnership? But partnership with an eye where civil society is still there to be that, I don't like to say checkmate, but to be that point at which government can understand that even though we are in partnership, but we are not working for you, but we are working with you.
So one would say, following the establishment of a accountability lab in Liberia, they want to know the success story. How have people been working with you to champion the goal of the institution?
Great. So we got lots of stories, and many times I don't like to talk, and people who know me will tell you, I don't like to talk my success story or as an institution, we don't like to talk it, but sometimes it's good for people to know. So we've taken an accountability film school from an idea stage to where Divine Key Anderson, one of our entrepreneurs, said, I want to do film for social change. We're taking that from a pitch salon to an idea, from an idea to accountability film school, and now it's Liberia's first film institute. It's called the Liberian Film Institute. It's in Kebab, in Barnesville. That's just one. And then Nassime is one of Liberia's biggest reggae artists, is now the ambassador for Transparency International on anti-corruption. So his music, Bunky, is the biggest. So we took that music from where it was and worked with the artist and took him to Panama, right, where he had the biggest stage that he has ever had. Now, we can talk about others. We can talk about the Amaze and the stages that we've given them on other bigger stage. Look, and then we have now the Liberia first innovation center, open government hub in the country. And Accountability Lab is the best civil society organization in the country, as given, the award was given this year by USAID and other partners. So I can talk about many things that we've done. I can talk about films and documentaries that we've produced. I can talk about with the 4 years and few days to be 5. I can talk about a lot of things that we've done. And if people told you we're 4 years, many people wouldn't believe that we are 4 years. But it's about the level of energy and the vision that we have and passion for our country. I'm a Liberian and I strongly believe in Liberia. I believe that there are very many good people in this country, and I believe that if the conversation changes in our country from a negative related conversation to a positive driven conversation where we're emphasizing few things. We're emphasizing vision. We are emphasizing reorientation of our thought pattern, and we are emphasizing consumption pattern. How can we change those patterns and bring about new ways of thinking, new ways of consuming? Consuming here is not just the way we eat our food with too many oil in it, that is giving people this bloated stomach and things like that. But also, how do we consume education? what kind of education we are consuming, because what goes into you makes you. So what goes into a man's mind determine what comes out. So if you're getting wrong things that are entering into you, then you know you tend to become the product of wrong. Because all of us, one way or the other, is this what I believe, that we are all programs. But what makes you that program? Is it a positive thing? That's how you're going to react positively. Is it negative? Then your reaction is going to be negative.
One of those things coming from integrity or in fact the accountability lab is the issue of naming and shaming corrupt officials in the public or private sectors, and you also go beyond that to shower praises on those who stand for principles in the public and private sectors. Why are you engaged into that?
Just as a way of bringing the conversation at another level. So Accountability Lab has changed the conversation globally. Instead of everybody looking at anti-corruption approach as naming and shaming, we've brought in a new approach that is called the naming and faming. So instead of just saying, oh, they're corrupt, we'll prosecute, which is good. But if you're prosecuting, it's like a rope, right? It's a threat, it's a long line. So there are a lot of people, anytime you try to persecute people, they try to give birth to other corrupt officials. So you see corruption gave birth to corruption. So you keep persecuting in a system where the judiciary system to prosecute is not fast-tracked. So we have a slow judiciary system. So you see that people are waiting, cases are on docket, and the queue of those cases are very, very long. Then you can see what's happening to the people, because when justice is delayed, certainly you see the reaction of the people. But if we start creating role models, people that are doing well, and we start filming them and showcasing them to the young people and say, look, why don't you be like a policeman? This policeman this is what his colleagues are saying about him. This is what his community is saying about him. This is what his family is saying about him. This is what his religious setting, if he's found in one though, because we're in a heavily religious country. So if you can find such a policeman and celebrate him, maybe from DEA, maybe from the immigration, what we're trying to do, or teachers, nurses, and civil servants, what we're trying to do, or public servants, what we're trying to do is to send a new wave of message. Instead of making it a linear attitude of prosecute, we are creating this way a circular motion of, let me give birth to new kids, new children, because one of the children not gonna just, one of those kids not just gonna believe in you. There are gonna be a lot of kids that want to be police because of just one policeman. A lot of kids want to be good teachers because there's a teacher who doesn't abuse kids, doesn't take cash for grace, doesn't engage in any wrong things for grace. So you're bringing a new conversation. So that's the conversation we're bringing. We're not saying naming and shaming is not good, but we are saying the better way, the better option is, let's name and fame, showcase to young people that you can come in public service and be corruption free. You can come in public service and showcase that this is how we can take this conversation to another level. And that's what Integrity Idol does.
Have you been able to identify probably those who you think has gotten some bit of fame across Liberia? Have you been able to see anyone of that nature?
I mean, this is the third year running. So the first year, people thought, because we started and then immediately the Ebola came, sad story. But people thought it was the government way of downsizing people. So many nominations never came. We had 1,444 nominations. And out of the 1,444 nominations, we narrowed down, because we have our own way of investigating these people. We make sure to check behind you every step of the way. So we have 5 persons. We have even janitors, people who tend to celebrate in our country, we tend to neglect. We had janitors being nominated and then ending up in the finals, right? So we did the first celebration. We found 5 persons across the country, 3 from Southeast. Interestingly, 2 was from the legal system, and 1 nurse,
And then we had also a teacher and a janitor, right? And then the nurse won. And then last year, we also have 5 persons: an agriculturist, a pharmacist, a doctor, and then we also have an educational person, and then we move further to social service delivery. This year, we had the biggest, because this year we open up, instead of just civil servants, we open up to public servants. So we included the police, the DEA, the military. We also included the immigration, customs. Interestingly, in the finals, we have a DEA personnel, we have a police personnel, we have a nurse who is a PA at the same time is a teacher, right? And then we have a teacher who is just a teacher, a classroom teacher, and then we have another nurse. So we have 3 females this time around. We have 2 males. Other years running, we have 1 female, 1 female. So what this has said, and this year the nominations were about 530 persons.
How do you go about?
So we have volunteers all over the country. So the volunteers move from every sector of the country, hit every space, so that we collect nominations. We have 4 stages, and we've created a nice infographics to showcase to people that these are the stages. So when we take it to vet it, the vetting stages are 4. But the whole program is in 3 stages. We have nomination, which includes the vetting and everything. Then we have stage 2, which has to do with filming of the 5 finalists. And the filming, as we speak, 3 has been filmed. No, 4. Because the 4th person just ended today, so it's 4. And then the last person is going to be filmed between tomorrow and Sunday. And we also have the last stage, which is the final, which is the voting. That's when the public comes in. So the public then tend to watch it on television. So we extract the voice component as well, because we know we have a larger radio outreach in the country. So we extract the voice component, play on radio, and then for people to listen to their different stories. Then each of them have a number attached to them that you can text to a short call that is free. So on all networks, you can text to that short call. But this year around, and let me be clear about this. So when you text to the short call from one phone, because I know somebody's going to ask it, you can't text from that phone again for that same person.
It's a software that that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have a software that detects the IP of your phone. So if you sat and say you like this nurse, and you voted say 5 to the short code for that nurse, you can sit that again to that same phone and say 5. The moment the second one is canceled, you can sit and send as many from that phone as possible for that same person. Only 1 will be captured. So we've stopped the cheating. If people think they want to cheat about that, we block that. But this year we're also bringing in the WhatsApp voting aspect, and we are really studying that, because we want to make sure that somebody doesn't text from their WhatsApp for the same person more than once.
Okay.
So as we speak, the infrastructure is being studied between now and the end of next week. We've been doing that since July. We've been testing, but there have been leakages, and sometimes if you have a very smart person that understands IT on the WhatsApp, can text twice. So now we're trying to close that gap to just 1. If that works, then it gives people on the social media the right time.
How are you working with those who you think, in fact, those who come to be a part of your nomination process, those you consider as the victors in the process? How do you work with them? Is it that you kind of give them maybe a prize, and after all you let them go, and at the final analysis they go back from good to worse? How you engage in the process with them?
Excellent. So what we try to do with every finalist, in fact this year, since we were waiting to become 3 to do something called Integrity at the Conference. So what we're trying to do is everybody that enters into that is among the last 30, right? So we narrow to the last 30. It is upon the last 30 that we do investigation, right? So when we get the last 30 this year, we are going to have Integrity Idol Conference from 6 and 7 December, and then on 8th December is the main event. It's on the main event that we declare the winner. But in our mind and what we know and what the program is all about is that everybody wins. Once you get to that point, you win. But there has to be one person that we can showcase among these. This is what the public says is the best person. This person has, in the eyes of the public, stands up. But the 5 that we bring to the public are all good 5. So any of them can be an idol. But we consider all of them an idol. That's why for the first 3 years we're going to have a conference to link them. Every time I say this to people, one of the reasons why evil thrives on this earth is just for one reason. Because evil networks well. All the bad people, they network very well. You can traffic one child from Liberia, that child will not stop. If they want to see that child in Hungary, that child is going to be trafficked from one network to another, and that child will land in Hungary. But what the good does, the good doesn't network. So what we're trying to do now is to create that system. That's why I told you one of our pillars is building an ecosystem. In the ecosystem, we live with plants, plants live with us, so we give the plants carbon dioxide, they give us oxygen, and that interaction goes on in the ecosystem over and over again. So we believe that civil society organizations shouldn't be striving on resources, because some of the time it's just about competition. Okay, if Accountability Lab cannot do a work, how can I give it to another organization? That's not my strength. So I call another organization, even though you send it to me. Like and when I travel, and one of the examples I want to show is on HIV and AIDS, right? So there's a huge African accountability issues on HIV and AIDS. And they told me, oh, Lawrence, why don't you be a part of it? I said, this is not where we are. We are not in health. So I can link you with Liberian organizations that are doing health so that they can work with it, because that's their expertise. What I can do with them is help them understand accountability issues, that they can push accountability issues in health. But that's not our strength. They try everything. I told them, sorry, we can't. So I ended up introducing them to 4 different Liberian organizations, and they took the conversation from there. And they are funding 2 of them, and the other 2, that was their decision. But what I'm saying in short is, we have to create an ecosystem in our country. So we're bringing these guys together to build a network of good people. That's what I'm driving at. So when we build that network, what we're trying to do is to send a new wave of message out to people out there, that whilst you're stealing our resources, if they persecute you, we have hope that there are new generation that we're going to work with. Because one of the things we want to do with these people is each of them should work on accountability related projects. And this is the part that we need Liberians to understand. Accountability related project is not tell us you got an agricultural farm and that we should support. We are not an agricultural organization. We try to build things that have long-term effect, because it has to do with behavior. It has to do with change in attitude. But first, it starts with your mindset. If your mindset change, then you can change along with your mindset, because you cannot be what your mind cannot see. We are the product of our thoughts. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if you think wrong things, you tend to become wrong things. If you think good things, you tend to become good things. Even if you think good things loudly, but the subconscious thought that you have is negative, you're going to have negative result. So you have to train your mind to get to that level. And as a nation, we have to train ourselves. We have to train our mind. We have to get to a point in this country where everybody tends to drive towards the just simple things. What do I want to leave in this country? And if I die tomorrow, what do I want this country to see me as? Is it as a confrontational person? Is it as a person who cheated in this country? Or is it as a person who sucked from the country, or a person who gave? If I'm giving, how am I giving? Why am I giving? Am I giving for people to know me? Or am I giving so that my family can be rich? You know, when we're small, right?
when you go play freetown ball, right? Let me speak small, Kologwa. When you go play freetown ball, when you're 9, and then one man just out Beji, and man say, my man, I'll play by all means. And you say, my man, wait, you draw the next thing, and man get on the field. People say, my man, I'm gonna go and boom. Let it. That's a wrong concept. If you were listening, you never heard me. Is that concept drives to the fact that if anything is for the government, it means that it should be treated wrong. That's the kind of message we send there. Parents sit home on holidays and Sundays and tell their kids, anybody come to me, I'm not here. So what we're teaching the children at that point is that to lie is good. In the subconscious, that's what we're saying. I'm not saying we say it loud. We love to be corrupted. We like the people who stealing from us. We want you to be one of them. So the parents beat the child because the child has a funny way of refusing, right? Mama say or my pa say, I'm gonna tell you, say she or he is not here. And then they tend beating that kid because the kid have exposed them. But yes, the kid exposed you because you're teaching the kid to lie. So if the child survive the beating, and then that child decide to practice, they practice on the parents. You send them in the market, and next day they tell the money lost. And technically the money never lost. They go to that man and they go eat something. So, and then they tell you to say go measure 2 cups. The child going to measure in 4. The woman know that rice is not 4 cups. She cooks the food. Excuse me. What you're saying to that child is that cheating is good. So that child goes to school, the child becomes a cheat. So when the child doesn't study and the child try to bend it, and then there is this new thing that they bring in schools, right? I'm bringing these things up because we need to change our pattern and we need to change our thought. Then they say teachers appreciation. Keep them guarding student, for heaven's sake. If you're saying teacher appreciation is a force, it's not. So we need to work on these little things. People driving on the road, coming to work in the morning. Everybody in queue. You see senators' cars on the side. You see taxis on the side. You see one guy who just put a double navigator on and take the left and moving towards all car. Policeman got his wife in the car. The guy's girlfriend got a lot of people. He's not on patrol, but he's taking tail lane. And these are little things that we need to change as a people. And if you're showing these idols, people that are really constantly obeying the law, constantly working, if you give them material for their work, they don't take some of the copybooks that they were to distribute to schools and take it to their house when nobody is looking at them. That is the thing with people with integrity. It's not just in the face of everybody, but in the dark, when nobody is looking at you, that's when they tend to showcase who they really are.
Okay, well, so we will have your participation as we go on the afternoon conversation here on OKFN 99.5 0777 709 and 5. We will have your participation here. It's on 99.5 and it's okay afternoon conversation. We have Mr. Lawrence Yellow here. And the line is already blinking, so we'll start to talk to you, the callers. We'll hear from you, and then Mr. Yellow will respond. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
We're fine from this end. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I'm calling from Pakistan, Nigeria.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, my position and what they show.
I'm sorry, he's off the line. So please keep your calls coming in 0777 7000995, and by way we are live on our OKFN Facebook page, so you can also leave your. Sorry, please get away from the receiver. It's so terrible. Yes, just can continue with this caller. Please walk away from your receiver before calling. Let's go back to the line and talk to this caller. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is this Sam?
I think you did Sam welcome.
Okay, Sam, please go ahead.
I'm actually admiring the speaker to speak there. This kind of a school of color. Because as the affiliations, as much as more participants went to the school of conduct, they would change. I think that our country will move on a better trajectory. it's because what I just look I was from away this town and this single police there just is people like put a that kind of stereo on that say was done in emergency situation. So they may just constantly just go against the traffic. And let's say go myself I was little I sort of bad. That really hit me. And this is how I just left the bank. And these days are just important. I think people should look at it. That's another book. Thank you for the
Okay, all right. So we will take a few other calls here, and then Mr. Yellow will continue with the explanation here. Please keep calling 0777 700 995 on the radio, so that we can hear what you have to say. And we're talking about interpreted issue, people being accountable. How are people being accountable in the home, coming to the workplaces and in the public space? How are people helping to push the issue of accountability? Let's go back to the telephone line and talk to this caller. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother. This is Ibrahim Italy. I'm calling for this thing.
Abraham, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for the first feedback. It was very terrible. My dad got to for the radio.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this topic is very, very, very informative. It's very sensitive because this time, like in Liberia, sometimes, anything that just put that one group and say difficult, nothing good can come out of them. Like he said the person when the person become president, this will be bad, this will be worse, they will bring war. Some of the authorities are very bad. So that even some people go to workplaces, their behavior doesn't change. We cannot see that now really good. They're very informative. Because we got to pronounce people from our mouth so that our country will be fine. But sometimes they say, I see you today one, you want to do one. So I'm people are getting on the lecture. It's fine.
Okay, all right. And so I'm sure we will have to continue the conversation as well with the callers here. But like you heard, Mr. Yellow, someone talk about the code of conduct. This is actually helping the code of conduct to ensure that people are held accountable for what to do, their actions in the public sector or the private sector, in fact. And so another person talk about how people are being selected, coming from your end. They want to know the transparency aspect of it, and the awards. How do you go about? They don't hear some big government official names in the award ceremony. Instead, you're talking about people who come from the civil society, and you talk about the policeman, you talk about a teacher, a nurse. They don't hear the people who are the main actors in government. Take for instance, people who want to honor the president because this is the president. People who want to go for the vice president or the speaker or the chief justice. They don't hear the big names in government. So tell us.
I think one thing that drums this project at the core is that we have, as a nation, have to understand that the people that this country runs on are not the few that runs the government. So if we were to define democracy, which our government is a representative democracy, we say the government for the people, by the people, and of the people. At the center of all of those, if you say by, for, you hear people, 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 people. You can say it in any direction, is the people. It means that the definition of government in democracy is the people. So the voice of the people, like we're having in our country now, elections on, it is our voice. So there's a difference between the government in the country and the government that leads. Okay, let me just stress that out a little bit. Because the government that leads, like you said, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the government. So President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf led government. So it means that there are few other people from the pool of the people in the country, from the pool of the government, that are leading the total government. But these people are led by the president. So when you talk about that in that context, then it means that every one of us have our contribution because we are government. And for true governance to take place, it means that government, the real people, the citizens, must be knowledgeable of what their rights are. But more to that is what their responsibilities, correspondence to those rights are. It is your right to drink, right? But if you drink from a plastic, what is the responsibility attached to that plastic? Should you just take the plastic and just drop it anywhere? Certainly not. It is, I tell people we got pockets, right? The reason why you have pockets is not only for money. The reason why you have pockets is not only for pen, if you were going to school. If you have pocket, it's not only for keys. It's not only for gramping. If you are in school.
In school.
Sometimes say walkie-talkie, right? You're walking, you're taking it. But the way I define pocket is also the mini garbage pan or garbage pot before the real garbage pot. So you can knock the water and then roll it a little bit, put it in your pocket, and get to a garbage pot. But that's your responsibility, even though it's your right to drink, but it's your right to properly dispose of the plastic as well. So these are just little things that we do. It is your right to talk, but when you talk responsibly. It is your right to education, but when you go look for words in the dictionary, don't look for only negative words. Look for positive words. Because what comes, the abundance in your heart, your mouth will speak it. And when we say heart, has to do more with your mind. What is in your mind? And okay, let me just bring in something, and then I'll come back to the code of conduct. So the universe operates on laws. If you did physics, or if you never even did physics, anytime you throw something up, they tell you, say, it will come down. It means that the earth is pulling it down. That's why physics will say the law of gravity. Just as we have the law of gravity, it means that everything that goes up will come down. You know what the law says? But there's another law that counteracts the law of gravity. It's called the law of aerodynamics. So that's why you see the birds will fly, and then they will pitch and take their time to pitch. So when they're getting down, they take their time to get down. But if they make a mistake and they came down with force, it means that the gravity pulled them faster than the force up. You see that you don't see bird come down and crash by itself, right? The same thing with aeroplane. So you also have the law of interaction, right? To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if you punch somebody hard, you also feel the same pain as you were punching that person. You slap the wall will give you the equal reaction, and you feel that pain. Then you have something that is called the law of what we are calling. This is a secret, right? And only few people understand the secret. And every time you want to grow, you got to understand why many people in this world, but only few people in the world control the world. You have 99% of the wealth of the world controlled by 1% of the world. And sometimes we feel so proud calling that name, the Bill Gates. And you call that name, and you're a rich man, and you're knocking your chest. The question is, does he have 2 heads? Does he have 4 eyes? Does he have 5 noses? And if the question comes, you understand that he's just like you, but he changed something. He changed his thought pattern. And that is called the law of attraction. You're going to attract good things to you if your mind feeds on good things. If you wake up, as a nation, we will stop saying, oh, this country is good for nothing. The country, nothing will come from out of the country. That's why the code of conduct is telling us indirectly is be good. Be good. Be good. Forget about the sanctions that come along with it. But look at the fundamental. It's calling for good citizenship. And not just that code, right? But the Constitution itself is calling for good citizenship. The reason why you have the court, they are calling for you to be good. They're not there to just be the one to persecute you.
A good policeman doesn't just, in traffic though, doesn't just arrest. He educates. When you are in the first offense, he comes and educates you and tells you, look, you were to do this. If you did this again, this is what will happen to you. Except maybe what that offense that you caused was very grievous, then he gives you a ticket. And what he's trying to tell you is that this ticket is to help you not to do this again. But before he gives you the ticket, he will tell you where you've gone wrong. And not shout at you, not scream at you.
So are we not seeing that from the top hierarchy?
Sometimes you see it, but most times our country is milked in a kind of thought pattern that is not helping us to grow. And nowadays from the top hierarchy, look, let's take it from the family level. This country is suffering the way it is because our family values are gone.
You think so?
I know so. Because I just talked about what happened in the family. At the end of the day, all of us here, even in the studio, and every big, in quotation, big man, will go back to the family. How do you process things at home? How does that come to our community level? And how does that spill over? I keep telling people, right? Accountability issues. I was just at one workshop, we're talking tax reform, and I was saying accountability issues in Liberia is not a foreign idea. It's an idea that is deeply rooted in our culture. And our culture places value on accountability issue to the extent if you're in a village, right? And you are a hunter, and everybody tells you that no, mama, you can hunt. They will not allow you to shoot an animal that you know that somebody has transformed it. That's our culture. So when you, the hunter, know that that animal is not a natural animal, and you shot that animal, you know what happens to you? The elder council will call you, and you will be accountable for that action, and they will make sure that you have the reward for that action. The record say punishment if there be. So there are a lot of things, there are a lot of value in our system. I think one of the callers talked more about education. And what I hear you say also is, what does education mean to us as a nation? And what I see education is my education and your education, our education, should not be to suffer people and to enrich ourselves. Our education should be a service to our people. And this is not, don't take this to say, oh, politicians, okay. This is not politics. But the reality of this is that when our education, our parents send us to school, excuse me, we're in school with friends that teach us. It's not part of our school fees that our parents pay. Some of our friends put us in study classes, right? Our parents don't pay them. Then there are a lot of other ways that we learn in school. Nobody pays the other people. That's community. So when you are educated too, it's your responsibility to come back to the community and say, I got it. Come and have it for me. If your education is now a service to your people, in my view, you are not educated.
So when are we expecting maybe one of the top government officials' name to be included in one of your awards?
At the moment, Accountability Labs Integrity Idol doesn't target top government officials. We also want to tell them that it's good, serve in that area, right? But right now we're targeting civil servants. We are targeting public servants. At the max, we have mayors, right? We have mayors. But trust me, in this particular year, there were mayors in the race. But the integrity of others from the findings that we got, most of those mayors dropped. It doesn't mean that they're not good people. There's a difference between just being good and being good with integrity. It comes along. And the thing about people with integrity, they don't hide. They show that in what they say, they follow it up with their action. And they don't do it because they want for people to see them, call it eye service, right? They don't do it because of that. They do it because it's part of their life. If you went to someone with integrity in a place, you won't give him money to cut corners, he or she will tell you no. Go and start. And then in our community we give them plenty. call it Christian co, call it Ametu ha, that woman power be na easy. So we tend to make them to feel like they are the odd people, but there's a reason why we are making them feel that way, because our society, especially in urban Liberia, not in the rural areas. Well, I mean rural area, I mean rural. I'm not saying rural urban. So there are two different things also there. In the rural areas, in the rural, you still have the value placed on people that are doing good. But in the urban area, we change everything. When you are good, you look at the bad person. Then when you are bad, you look at the good person. So the churches, we need to be talking integrity issues in the church. When Father of the Year will be somebody that they know is hurting the society. They know the person lifestyle doesn't commensurate with values of Christianity. You give them Father of the Year. Then you leave one old man in the church that is good. You know that what he says, the way he lives, everything is correct. You leave him there because he doesn't have money to give the church. So in my view, I think Jesus came down, he will get so pissed with many churches.
They want some income.
Income is not what the church is about. Soul winning is what the church is about. So, I mean, not only in the church, you can find in other areas. So, other religious setting as well, even in traditional setting now. So, if you go to your village, the person with the plenty of money that go to the village in big cars, they don't even care how you got the money. They give you. But the thing about the village is that if they discover that you are not good here, when they go, they will say among themselves. And sooner than later, you'll call for meeting, you'll come, you see everybody distancing themselves. Only the other people that are there that are bad like you will start coming close. So our society needs to reorientate.
You think that is possible?
It is. I always think it is. And trust me, since I came back in 2013, actively, I used to be back and forth. And trust me, I'm not coming from the US. I came from refugee camp in Ghana. And one person, I always tell people that I got double promotion in refugee. I came from Ivory Coast, went to the UL, then fled to Ghana, and then from Ghana I came back home. But when I came home, I came with something that I know. And every time I work with young people, and I try to pass these things on to them, they see it even far better than me. And in my life, what I always look forward to is that when I train people, when I work along with people, you be far better than me. Because in the end, that's what education is about. I want you to stay on my shoulder and fly. So that tomorrow when I see you fly, I'm happy. And I keep telling people, what we are running behind to see a good nation. And in my mind, I see a better nation. A better nation if we go back. I was just telling some people, any government that wins needs to place special emphasis on rebranding. We need to rebrand Liberia. We need to rebrand the way we talk. You need to rebrand the way we have arguments in attire shops. The loudest, noisiest person tends to be the person that makes logic, which is wrong. It should be the person that is pushing logic with real logic, not the person that shouts. And the way we reward people in our country, the person that is very violent in words, the person that latches as people use negative words, is the person that we lift up. Sooner than later, government gave them position. It has to change. We have to go for sober-minded technocrats that will be able to change things around. That's why we need to rebrand. And to rebrand has to be something that the country must look at. Culture of silence. When somebody rape people child, then somebody, the family come around, they made that your nephew, they made that your this. No, that's
there is an amendment to the rape law.
I know.
You think that amendment will commensurate with what you kind of put in
and that's why some of us don't go along with the amendment.
Okay.
There are some things in this country where people are amending, then you tend to understand what is the motive of doing that. That one maybe we can discuss it for another whole day.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I just think that issues that are of that nature, that are grief, you're damaging people's future, that a child's whole life, it shouldn't be issue that is family compromised. It should be taken to the law if the person was lied on, and then that case should be really fast tracked. We can talk about that another time. But my focus on today is our nation has got to put herself in a rebranding state. We need to take our rightful space in the international community. Not only that, but our nation. How do we do development? No. Let me just say one example. Maybe then I come back to discussing another thing. See the way our roads are built. I'll just discuss right here. The Bushwa Island.
Okay.
The place is a swamp. It's a marshland. Why on earth our government is not thinking? Well, I mean the government. I mean all of us. We are not thinking. And even if you don't have a job, you're an engineer, why can you craft
Develop the road.
you draw a very good architectural design? Lift the road up the ground. We don't need to be talking ground laying down rules anymore. The way we think it is how we're going to see it. Lift the road off the ground and build roundabouts that are not on the ground. And we got free space. That Prophetess Island, I don't know the other island name. Maybe I'm learning my civics, right? What that marshland is doing there? Why don't we put a big roundabout there that stretches road all over? Is it difficult? But until we think about it, we will not be able to do it. When your mind doesn't see it, it can happen.
Well, we will kind of conclude on this point. I know there are so many other issues to talk about, but as we go on and on, we'll try to make you our good friends, and so that some of those things that are paramount, the people can understand and try to change from those issues. But I know as we go to conclude, there are other issues you like to summarize a bit just before we take leave of you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always a pleasure sharing my thoughts. I think I've been a teacher
A very good teacher.
since high school,
Okay.
and I'm always will be. I love doing that. I love sharing what I know, and I love sharing the way I know it, and try to make it a part of myself. But more to what we need as a nation, our mindset has got to change. And the thing about this is that if you're preaching it, you have to live it. I keep telling people you cannot give to someone what you don't have. If you don't have it, you cannot share it. If I told you just now, here is $5, and I'm giving you my empty hand, you say, man, that's serious. But if I told you here is $5 and I'm giving you a true $5, you take it serious. If I told you, oh, don't cut corners when you're coming on, to town, don't cut corners. And one day you see me cutting corners, you say that guy is not serious. Everybody that is preaching good things in this country, everybody that is preaching very, very good things, we must live it. Matters that we need to, as citizens, sometimes build platforms, because you are the government too. Take it to the particular ministry and give it to them. If possible, you can register it and tell them, oh, do this. If you do this, I can get royalty. We can divide it. If they say no, if they say they just want it, then you say okay. Then you do a quick purchase. But we need, people can be paid for their intellectual property and must be paid for your intellectual property. But you see, sometimes we depend on the government that leads a lot, and the technocrats have the idea. And one thing, I gotta say this before I leave, that's on the opposition, right?
Okay.
Oppositions in Liberia need to be constructive opposition, even though you can criticize.
Are they not constructive?
In my view, no. In my view, absolutely not. If you are constructive, I'm not looking at just this opposition, I'm saying future opposition.
Okay.
Need to look at things, and if possible, if you are in the government that leads as well, say it, show it, bring some of the blueprint and say, look, this is what we can do, it will work. I know many times because they want to score political points, so they don't want to give it, and they understand. But before I leave, we go to elections on
November 7th.
November 7th. It is crucial that our country is kept peaceful. It is crucial that whatever we do, political parties, leaders, you need to understand that this is all we have. I don't like to use that cliche, but I'm going to use it because it's all we have.
And some of us strongly believe that is the best country in the world. This is the only green country in the world. All year round is going to be green. And all we can do now, we don't want to make it too much of a concrete jungle, but we can lift it up a little bit to make it a concrete jungle. Thank you so much for having me.
Mr. Lawrence Yellow of Accountability Live right here. And so we will take a break from this point, take some bit of water, get prepared so that we can continue on the afternoon conversation here on OKFN 99.5. Deodar Red is there trying to bring this coverage live from the Facebook page. And so we'll end on this note and in fact take a break. Yes, when we return, then we'll continue on the program right here. Thank you very much. See you on OKFN. Those of you who are celebrating their birthday today, those of you to celebrate tomorrow, like my friend and brother Simon Yuzu Williams is out for all of you. Celebrating grand style.